Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here, and welcome back, Secretary Vilsack. I am excited to have you here today as we continue our work on the 2023 Farm Bill. Your expertise and experience are invaluable. I also appreciate your comments related to the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, which is something I continue to hear about from producers across my district. I was really grateful for the time that you spent in my district a few years ago as we were discussing our efforts to recover from the COVID-19 crisis. And before I begin my questions, I would like to once again invite you to spend some time with Virginia's farmers and producers to hear the issues on their minds as we prepare for the next Farm Bill. So I hope we can have you back in the district. My first question is about the conservation title. I appreciated how your testimony really seized on a point that often gets missed in the context of USDA's conservation programs, and that that point is that these programs, while really good from a conservation perspective, good for the planet, they are also essential economic components of a successful farming operation. I hear that from producers across my district who utilize these programs. As farmers are both responding to the impacts of the climate crisis and looking for new markets for their crops, investing in climate-smart agriculture not only protects our planet, but increases resilience of the farmland, increases marketability, reduces input costs, and raises crop yields. And so I'm really proud that in the last Congress we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which included the largest single investment in conservation since the Dust Bowl. And these investments will soon be paying dividends for producers across the country through programs like EQIP, RCPP, and CSP. So as we approach the 2023 Farm Bill, there is broad consensus among groups representing growers, including the Farm Bureau and the National Farmers Union, that conservation funds included in the Inflation Reduction Act should stay in place, and I agree. But I am concerned about not sustaining higher funding levels for these historically oversubscribed and underfunded programs into the future. From your perspective, how should this committee be thinking about future funding for conservation programs in the context of the 2023 Farm Bill? And what might the value be to farmers if we were to sustain these higher levels of investment over the long term?
Well, the Inflation Reduction Act, Congresswoman, provides us the opportunity to actually address the backlog, a significant backlog of farmers who want work done but haven't been able to get the approval. The expectation is that we could actually, within several years, be able to eliminate that backlog and actually provide additional resources for advancing climate-smart practices, and that will in turn allow farmers additional income opportunities. So I think it's critical.
And it's critical, essentially, reducing the backlog. So these are producers who want to employ these programs on their farms, voluntary programs. We made the effort to reduce that backlog, but recognizing the value of these programs into the future, we want to ensure that they're there, not just for farmers who want them, but for future generations of farmers. Would you agree with that?
I would, and I'm concerned about suggestions that we reduce the overall budgets by a significant percentage. That could result in as many as 84,000 fewer farmers getting the assistance and help that they want.
And when we're talking assistance, we mean money out of the pockets of
Correct.
Farmers, investments that they can't make on their properties, and investments that help them lower input costs, produce output or increase output, and impact their day-to-day operations positively.
And the technical assistance that allows them to create those concepts and those plans.
Important issue on the technical assistance. Thank you. I'd like to pivot in the minute I have left to livestock and competition. I hear often from Virginia's farmers and livestock producers about the trend of greater consolidation in the food and farm system, and the anecdotes are startling, but also the statistics are jarring. I am thrilled that the Packers and Stockyards Division received a significant increase in funding in FY23 to improve its enforcement of the Packers and Stockyards Act, a law to deal with anti-competitive behavior that, as you well know, was put in place 100 years ago. But can you please share an update on how the department plans to spend these new resources to improve competition in the livestock sector and ideally positively benefit smaller producers like those I represent?
It's a combination of three things. One, making sure that we work collaboratively with attorney generals around the states that are concerned about this issue. Two, making sure that we continue to invest in additional competition, additional processing capacity. And three, making sure that we expand and make clear the powers under Packers and Stockyards. That's the reason why we've proposed a number of rules of greater transparency, more predictability in terms of what these what the scope of the rule actually means.
And I thank you for, through your ability, putting forth much of what we've proposed in the Butcher Block Act through USDA. And I know Dusty Johnson and I continue to work to get that passed legislatively into the long term. Thank you.